Thanks, Laura. It's thought that Jimmy Savile abused at least 500 victims. Most of that abuse taking place at BBC premises, in hospitals and at children's homes.
Later today, we'll hear the results of an 18-month investigation into the abuse at dozens of hospitals. We're joined now by Liz Dux, who's representing 176 of Savile's victims. Thanks for coming in this morning, Liz. So what are you expecting to hear later on today?
Well, the victims are very much anxious to see this report today. They've waited for a long time. What we're really interested in today's report is not the extent of Savile's offending, because we really know about that, but it is who knew, why it was allowed to continue for so long, and why nothing was done, and particularly why this man was given carte blanche access, allowed to wander around in a white coat, call himself a porter, call himself a doctor, have keys, be allowed into wards at bath time. That's what's really important to the victims, is some sort of accountability on the part of the NHS.
This report today looks at a number of specific locations, doesn't it? What are they, and what was going on there? Who was affected?
Well, it was a range of people, all ages, male and female, people who were just there visiting other patients, people who'd come in with broken arms, lying on trolleys in pain, people who were there for long-standing childhood conditions, people who were working on local radio. He was indiscriminate. He used every opportunity to abuse whenever he could.
It's extraordinary. We talk about it now. We just mind boggles that he was allowed to get away with such a long time. If there is some accountability, and there is, as you were saying, responsibility is apportioned to certain people, will there be any criminal proceedings off the back of that?
Well, that's what's so wrong. We have this terrible loophole in the law that exists at the moment, in that even if the report finds today that people deliberately covered it up and didn't pass the reports of abuse on, there is no criminal sanction that can be applied to them, and that's why we at Slater and Gordon are calling for a change in the law, whereby people in regulated authorities such as hospitals, schools and churches are obligated to pass reports of abuse on. We have to cover up this loophole in the law.
And you represent 176 of his victims, and presumably, they also span a kind of wide range of levels of abuse and ages when they were affected. I mean, how are they coping with this whole process?
Well, we do. I mean, our victims range from victims of horrific rapes, terrible male sexual assaults, people all over the country, all ages, all walks of life. And they've lived in silence for many years, sometimes not being believed when they did tell people. And this evidence having come out in October 2012, they've now lived with the prolonged investigation for a long time. And they're really anxious to draw a line in the sand. They want these inquiries to be open, but they want the reports now, and they want to move on with their lives. They're fed up of seeing his face on the television screens.
Let's hope that they can in some way. Liz Dux, thanks very much for joining us this morning.
Pleasure.